Welcome back. My name's Steve and thank you for joining me on my photography journey today. Today I want to have a quick look at some of the focus modes that you can choose in your Z5. Now the first question is, do you want to do all the focusing yourself? If so, you'll need manual mode. If not, then you'll need some kind of autofocus, and there's various different options for this. So let's have a look and see what we've got. Now, manual focus. This is the most straightforward, so we'll get it out of the way first of all. It's not one that I use particularly because it's difficult. It's hard work to actually do because there's a lot to think about. You can't just take a picture and hope for the best. You need to have time to set it up, not have your subject move, not have your camera move, and then get your picture in focus as you want it. Now, how you actually do that focusing is by using the ring on the lens. You just twist it around and that's what makes it focus further away or closer up. Then for autofocus, we've got two different options. We've got autofocus single and autofocus continuous. Single is for when you've got a subject that isn't going to move anywhere. And this is the one that I use most often when I'm taking my pictures of landscapes. You've got the AF on button on the back of the camera or half pressing the shutter button. Either one will lock the focus on the point that you've got it and it will keep it there. Whether you move the camera, whether your subject moves, it will keep that focus to the same distance and anything in that plane will be in focus. The default way that the camera then works is that you can't press the shutter button all the way down to actually take a picture unless that subject is still in focus. Well, the camera thinks something is still in focus. Then you've got AFC, which is autofocus continuous. And this is when you've got moving subjects. So what happens here is that it will adjust the focus. It will focus further away, closer to the camera, depending on where the subject is, where they've moved in the frame, where your camera's moved. Again, half pressing the shutter button or pressing the AF on button on the back will lock it onto that particular area so that it will then follow that from now on. There is another mode, which is AFF or full frame autofocus, and that's only for video mode. So that's what I'm using at the moment. It works much the same as AFC, just in videos. So now that you've chosen between manual, single or continuous autofocus, there are some more options as to which one works best. Pinpoint AF, which looks like this. So you've got a very small area in which to focus. So ideal if you're looking to get a particular part of something like a leaf in focus or for something that's very close up. Now, the downside to this is it does work slightly slower than some of the bigger areas. Single point AF, which looks like this, which is basically just the same as the pinpoint one, but a bigger area in which to look for something. So for bigger subjects to focus on, basically. Wide area AF, and as you can see, this one is using eye tracking. Now the idea is that it will follow my eyes around and keep them in focus the entire time that I'm moving or the camera's moving. So if I move backwards and forwards, if I cover up my eyes, then it will find my face instead and lose me completely sometimes. But then as my eye comes back, it should be able to find me again. So quite a good way of doing it, quite useful for if you've got a moving subject with eyes. This is an even wider area for the autofocus to work in. So you have less choice about what you're actually focusing on. The camera will do more of the work of, oh, this is the subject. So if you've got three identical subjects in front of you at different depths, the camera will pick the one to be in focus. Generally speaking, it'll be the one closest to the camera, but it will choose for you. It won't allow you to say, I want to focus on this one in particular. Now we can look at AFC as well. And other than the pinpoint one, it has the same options as previously, plus a couple more. And then this is dynamic area AF. So it's got the focus point in the middle and then this box around the outside, which is where it's looking for that subject if it moves outside that center box. So it uses a bigger area than just a single point, but a much smaller area than the whole frame, so it's a bit more accurate. And then you've got Auto Area AF, which is where things like eye, face, animal detection, these are the things that come into play here. It will search that whole frame for a human face, for example, and then it will follow that face wherever it moves in the frame, whether it's your camera moving, whether it's the person's face moving. That Auto Area AF will follow that face as much as it moves. So in this mode, it's a yellow box that comes up and follows the face around. This is something that has been improved since this firmware has been released. So this is using the latest firmware, and it does seem to work quite well. But I am not moving at a high speed. There's not other people in the frame. So it's a slightly biased test, but at the same time, it does everything that I need it to. So it's a lot better than any of my previous cameras, so I can't fault it really. I'm going to have to try one of the Canon or Sony's in order to try and see what that looks like instead. Another option in here is kind of object tracking mode. So if you've got a particular object that you want to be tracked, you can press OK. A box comes up in order to track that, and then press OK again or AF on, and it will follow that subject around, which you can now see with my wonderful demonstration. Always very technical over here. But then this is the last of the different modes that we've got, so I think I will leave it here now. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you again next week on my photography journey. So have a great week. Bye.